Daily Logic Check.
Welcome to another lawyer edition of Daily Logic Check. I'm Elizabeth Vargas, your host, with my co-host, Andrew Vargas. Today, we have a very special guest who specializes in criminal defense law and victims' rights. We have Mike Fell from Orange County, California.
So happy to be here, Elizabeth.
Thanks for being here.
Of course.
Under different circumstances, of course.
Much different. Yes, much different.
You're not representing myself or any other Orange County Housewives for anything else today.
Not today.
When I thought about this segment, I was thinking, okay, I need to get a smart lawyer. And obviously you popped into my head because of how you helped me out with my situation. But I kind of thought, is it right to bring my criminal defense lawyer on podcast? Is that logical?
But it wasn't criminal defense, wasn't it? Victims defense.
So
correct.
you primarily do criminal defense, but for me, you represented me with victims because of my situation. But we'll get into that later. I don't really want to jump the gun with that whole situation right this minute. I wanted to get to know Mike a little bit and why and how Mike became. Are you from here?
I am.
Oh, originally?
Yeah.
You're local.
Family moved here to Corona Del Mar in 1969.
Oh, good year.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. So,
Are you prosecuting those guys?
So grew up here my whole life. Went to grade school, middle school, high school.
Wow.
And then went off to college and law school and came back as fast as I could.
Oh, well, that's why you're members of the house. You're members of all these great clubs around here. Everyone knows your name. Do you have brothers and sisters?
I do have a younger brother.
Okay.
And he lives up in the Bay Area.
Okay.
Very proud of him.
Oh, good.
Yeah. He's the doctor.
Oh.
I'm the lawyer. He's the doctor.
Wait, your parents had a doctor and a lawyer? Oh, aren't they proud?
Well, Elizabeth, we're a Jewish family. So when I picked lawyer, he had no choice.
Oh, got it. There's a lot of Jewish lawyers here in Orange County, I'm finding out. No, so how did you get into law, or how did this come about? Because you're a fabulous lawyer. You've actually prosecuted. Well, I want to back up. You prosecuted some serious cases. You worked for the DA for a very long time. But how did you even decide you wanted to do that? What happened? Where'd you come from?
Well,
Why?
I owe it all to Mrs. Barnes. Mrs. Barnes was my 7th grade history teacher.
Okay.
And we had a little exercise where we were doing a prosecution. It was during the slavery time, not when I was going to middle school, but we were doing something about slavery time and prosecuting forefathers who had slaves. And we had a prosecutor and we had a defense attorney. And I was so intrigued by the whole process, I thought then and there, I want to be a litigator. I want to be a trial lawyer. Is that crazy?
That's kind of in 7th grade.
In 7th grade.
I was not thinking about that profound of things.
Were your parents like, yes?
Well, so here's the cool part is that when I was in high school, my mother, who's a very bright woman, thank God still with us today, she decided that she wanted to be a lawyer, so she went to law school.
Oh.
So she was in law school while I was in high school, became a lawyer, then became an Orange County Superior Court judge.
Wait, your mother's a judge?
Yes. And I saw how much she enjoyed her career. So you hear about following in your father's footsteps?
Yeah.
Well, I followed in my
your
mother's footsteps. Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Holy moly, this is crazy.
Yeah.
So it just runs in the family, these smart, logical mindset on, but these are also all service positions of giving back to the community.
Yeah. So, and I'm lucky. I found my niche. I found what I love doing, and it's been 35 years.
Where did you go to school again?
So I went to high school right here, Corona Del Mar High School. Then I went to UC Santa Barbara for undergrad. Okay. And then I went to Loyola for law school.
Wow.
Where's that at?
In Los Angeles.
Oh, so you just California through and through.
I stayed here.
He's like, I didn't go to the East Coast. I didn't want to go to Boston. I didn't want to go to Chicago.
Stay in the area.
I did an internship in DC and loved it.
Okay.
Didn't love the weather.
So you got out of this little bubble for a tiny bit.
For a tiny bit. Yeah.
You're like, I need to go back.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you can't beat it here. Come on. You can't beat it here.
It is nice.
Well, so when you graduated, what year is that?
When I graduated from
college.
From college
with a law degree.
With a law degree in 89.
89. And what was your first tenure? Did you first work here in Orange County?
Yeah, right
your
here.
Your first firm?
Yeah. So during law school, I actually clerked.
Okay.
My first year, I clerked for the California Court of Appeal here in Orange County.
Oh, of course.
For wonderful woman named Sheila Sonnenschein.
Okay.
Who was a justice of the court, which was wonderful.
Wow, you remember everyone's name?
Yeah.
Like dots.
Well,
dates, time.
she's a bigwig.
Oh, okay.
She's someone to remember.
That.
Yes.
Okay. It's like the note. You need to remember this one.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, if you're in the legal profession in Orange County,
Okay.
you know Justice Sheila Sonnenschein. She's phenomenal.
I'm going to Google it.
Yeah, and she's still working.
Okay.
She's now a mediator, so
Oh.
she does some excellent work.
Oh, great.
And then my second and third year of law school, I clerked for the Orange County DA's office.
Wow.
So upon passing the bar, I got sworn in as an Orange County DA.
I mean, that's crazy how you got there that quick.
Yeah.
Is that normal?
I mean, yes and no. Yes and no. So a lot for the DA's office, they tend to hire a lot of students, or a lot of law students right out of law school.
Okay, got it.
And then when they pass bar, they become
and they
an
pick
attorney
and
there.
choose, and they're like, you had the right, grades, and they were like, yeah.
I'm hoping that's why. Yeah. But yeah. And then I did that for over 18 years.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So wait, how does that work? So, well, obviously with my situation, which we'll get into later, I met with the DA, very, very nice gal. And what was her name again?
Diana King.
Diana King. Yeah. Super smart. I was nervous because when you see women like that, you're like, yeah, I need to get a life. I was just sitting there like, yeah, I'm here for the wrong situation and you're awesome. Thanks. So then what? So 18 years.
Right. So with the district attorney's office, you start out doing, I got sworn in, I think it was exactly 8 days after my 26th birthday.
Wow,
right?
You're young.
Yeah. So, they give you cases to quote unquote cut your teeth on, right? Yeah. So you're prosecuting petty theft case, maybe people driving without a valid license, DUIs, things like that. Right?
So in case you do mess it up, it's not detrimental to the system?
Well, yeah, it's not like you're letting a murder out of jail.
Yes, exactly. So get you in.
Only him. It's not like letting a murderer out of jail.
No harm, no foul, basically.
Well, and Orange County is one of the biggest counties in California. So we have quite a few prosecutors, about 300 prosecutors in Orange County. You have some counties, they have 4 prosecutors. Yeah. So you are doing murder cases after a few years in the office. Luckily, with Orange County, you did misdemeanors for several years. You got a little taste of doing felonies, and then you start doing some of the more
that way you don't get over your
cases.
head and mess something up.
Say it again?
That way you don't get over your head and mess something up.
Yeah, you're learning. It's on the job learning, right? And so, it's a great way to learn.
It's a great program, Andrew.
I think that's past my time. I don't got to worry about it.
But you're also working with other lawyers, experienced lawyers and new lawyers. So you're getting a lot of tutelage as you're prosecuting these cases.
300 lawyers, though?
Yeah, 300
Why
district
do we
attorneys.
Need that many?
District attorneys.
Well, because you've got over, about 2.5 million in Orange County?
Yeah.
So,
there's a lot of people doing bad stuff. They have to make sure there's enough people to make sure the bad people go away.
So how many does LA have then, LA County?
I think LA right now I believe they have over 1,500. Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
1,500. I watched a Netflix documentary on lawyers in courts because I'm always interested in criminal whatever. And they said that they try some of the biggest cases in that Los Angeles with the DA up there. Like it's like these crazy cases you hear of, like the serial killers and everything. They have to try them up there. Do you have that kind of case here or no?
Well, yes, you do. So the way that a case is prosecuted is where it occurs.
Oh,
right?
Okay, got it.
So, for instance, with the OJ case,
right?
If that had happened,
did you try
in
the
Orange
OJ
County,
case?
I did not try the OJ case. That was in Los Angeles.
That was LA County.
Got it. Okay,
that was in LA County,
right? But had that occurred in Orange County, that would have been an Orange County district attorney case.
Oh, okay. So that's why my case was here,
Correct.
even though he was from Santa Monica.
Exactly.
Got it.
So it's where the crime occurs.
Okay.
Right.
Got it.
Now, sometimes it gets a little more confusing that there are some crimes that occur in one county and it happens in Orange County too. It might start in one county and end in another county.
Yeah.
So, but for the most part, for the easy rule is where the crime occurs.
Is that above ground or below ground? Because don't criminals now have tunnels? I mean, is there like a tunnel?
Still below ground.
I'm
below
asking,
ground, same county.
if they're under the ground, they're heading to Mexico.
I'm not aware of the tunnels. Maybe they're in San Diego, but I'm not aware of them in Orange County.
I heard there's lots of tunnels in San Diego.
I don't think the tunnels are going to make it this far. They missed by a long shot.
That's a lot of tunneling. Yeah.
Hey, Norway has tunnels all the way through mountains.
that is true.
Possible.
Those are really cool tunnels.
Yeah, I was gonna say. So okay, so it happens where it's at. So what may I ask?
Of course.
By the way, nice socks. Can you
like these?
show the audience your socks?
I wore these for you,
This
Elizabeth.
is fabulous.
It says. Can we get a close up or no?
I don't
no,
think-
No?
we can't.
No.
No. Okay.
Oh, well, we're gonna get a photo of it.
It says, "Trust me, I'm a lawyer."
That's
I
awesome.
wore that for you.
Did you buy those yourself?
Well, of course, my wife saw them and said, "You should get those. I might come on it."
Now I know what to get you for Christmas.
Right.
Maybe I'll get you like a little, some hand gloves. Oh wait, that's the OJ. Never mind. I'm not gonna get you in gloves.
As long as they fit.
As long as they fit.
So tell me, staying on the DA stuff, because it sounds like, I mean, you were pretty high up in there, because you were senior, right? Mm-hmm. You became senior after once in a while. And then did you have some of the DAs working underneath you there? Is that how that works?
So what it is with the DA's office, that's more management. As far as trial attorney, once you go into management,
You went into trial attorney later, right?
well, no, I was a trial attorney the entire time, but you
Okay.
move up to certain levels of trial attorney.
Okay, got
So
it.
when I left the office, I was what's called a senior deputy district attorney, which is the highest level of trial attorneys, if you will.
Yeah.
And above that is management. And usually when you go into management, when you have people under you that you're managing, you're no longer trying cases. Your job is more of, mentoring the younger DAs and kind of teaching them the ropes, if you will.
Oh, got it.
And
Okay.
figuring out what case should be tried by what, or what case should be tried by what lawyer, kind of that.
Yeah. And
Yeah, like I think this guy would be good for this case because he's really good at these kind of cases, and you're just a manager of lawyers after that.
Well, and also as things come up, as difficult questions come up, at what should we do with this one, or what kind of time are we looking for on this case? So a lot of times you'll talk to a supervisor about that. And like we talked about before with high profile cases, a lot of times you want to make sure that your supervisor is involved, knows exactly what you're doing, what you're what interviews you're giving and things like that, which is very important.
Well, you have to have that somebody oversee your work. I mean, there
course.
has to be some sort of a dialogue when it comes to, are you doing a good job or are you not? And dialogue would, has he submitted the right documentation? Because you guys can get any case dismissed from one little error.
Sure.
Right? So, I mean, it's really important.
And the district attorney has the right also to dismiss a case. I'll tell you this. One of my favorite parts about Orange County is the discretion that is given to the prosecutors. I'll tell you, I was in the middle of a very serious robbery case where we called this guy the ragmouth bandit, because he would go up to all these gas stations with a bandana around his face and just terrify all these people by holding them up at gunpoint and taking their
people
money.
pumping their gas?
Well, more the people that own the gas
okay.
stations.
Wow.
And we had made it all the way to jury trial. I was in the middle of jury trial. And we had a day off. I forget if the judge needed a day off or somebody needed a day off. Well, we're in the middle of trial. And my investigator and I went out to where this kid grew up and where these crimes occurred. I just didn't have a good feeling. And we actually found some what we call exculpatory evidence, meaning we found evidence that showed we may not have the right guy. And I was given permission to dismiss the case in the middle of trial. Right?
Wow.
And so, for a prosecutor, I call that one of my greatest victories.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because the job of the prosecutor is you want to make sure that
Get the
not
right
only
people.
are you convicting the right people, right? But that innocent people, don't get blamed for something they didn't do.
Oh, that's
so. Yeah, that really is the job of the prosecutor.
Daily Logic Check. And then on your bio, which I was going to read, but on your bio on your website, it says you do creative. You advocate for creative sentencing. What does that mean?
Well, so right now, the main things that, as you said before, is I really love this victim rights representation. Like you said, we'll get into that a little bit later under this constitutional amendment in California called Marsy's Law.
Yeah.
Okay. But I also do criminal defense. So majority of my work is criminal defense, defending people who have gotten themselves into some troubles.
Okay.
Right. Me personally, I tend to stay away from cases where the person is charged with sex crimes or with violent crimes.
Right.
I just prefer not to take those cases.
Yeah. But it says you have tried murder. It says it on your website.
As a prosecutor.
Oh, as the prosecutor.
Right,
Okay.
right. But as a defense attorney.
Murderers.
As a defense attorney, yeah, I prefer not to take those cases. But the caveat is this. I have taken some of those cases if I feel that somebody is 100% innocent. And if I feel they're 100% innocent, I'll go to bat
Right, you'll
I'll
take
go to bat, whatever the case is.
Yeah, no, that's great. Let's call it morals. Thank you.
Yeah, that's.
But yeah, I mean, I think some creative sentencing is. Listen, I'll if I may, I'll just give an example.
Absolutely.
Believe it or not, I see a lot of professionals in Orange County that shoplift, and you may think, what? Right? But like people who are CEOs of companies, people who are multimillionaires, people who are just, well, they don't need it. And I have found through working with a psychologist and through interviewing clients that a lot of shoplifting has to do with a lack of control in their life. So I'll ask people.
Lindsay Lohan was notorious for shoplifting.
And again, she pretty much, I'm thinking, could buy what she needed. Right?
Yeah,
she said she did it to see if she can get away with it.
Well, and that's the thing. There's such a psychological component. But on the other hand, a crime of theft, right, is what we call a crime of moral turpitude, okay, which means willingness to do evil, right? That's what it's called. And the problem with having a fraud or a theft or whatnot is if that's on your record, you're not getting hired.
Right? Absolutely not.
I mean, listen.
Oh, so they hire you to get off that so that they...
Well, that's where we get into creative sentencing.
Okay. Like he did this. He's got a psychological problem. He needs to go hug a pillow.
Well, Elizabeth, don't say it like that.
Don't belittle it.
Because when you come in for taking something,
it'll be a big diamond.
No, but again, I'll talk to a lot of these clients, and there was something in their life that just maybe they're going through a horrible divorce. Maybe there was a horrible death in their family.
So it's a real serious thing in their mind. It's not just like this is kind of fun to see if I can get away with it. It's actually psychological.
And you know what happened?
I thought
and
you meant
almost across the board, when they take something, that problem in their life goes away. Maybe for 30 seconds, maybe for 30 minutes.
Wow.
The problem always comes back, but for that second, they don't have these huge problems over their head, right? So what I might do if you're the prosecutor is I might say, Elizabeth, here's my client. Do you know what I mean? Andrew, I'll use you. Okay. Now, hopefully
thanks for not using me.
Right. Hopefully you wouldn't want to throw the book at your brother, but
no.
If I said, listen, I've got this client. He's never been in trouble before. Let me tell you what's going on with his life. Let me tell you what he wants to aspire to do. Let me tell you some of the help that we want to get him. We want to get him into this therapy. We want to make sure that the store or the person, whoever, was made 100% whole with restitution or what was taken. We want him to do some community service. We want him to do some things. But when he's done with everything to do, to number one, learn a lesson, but also to hopefully not do it again.
Right. Smart.
Okay. Can we earn a dismissal?
Okay.
And so those are some of the creative sentencings that I like to do.
I didn't know you could earn.
Kind of like what they do on the tickets in California. If you get one speeding ticket, you can go to court, do some things, and it'll go off your record.
Yeah, like traffic school.
Class,
it's like traffic school.
So that's on a lower level. There's also been new laws that have been passed where there's actually diversion, where you can ask the judge for diversion for certain types of cases and things like that. Wow. So it's the same type of, if you will, creative sentencing. But a lot of times for something like that, I'd rather, if you will, have my client do more, but earn a dismissal so it's off their record, than to maybe, well, you plead guilty, pay a fine, and you're done, because then that's gonna haunt them forever.
Right.
If that makes
that makes
sense.
Yeah. Well, actually, how I met you was Gina from Orange County Housewives.
That's right.
You represented Gina. And it's very public. It's well known, Andrew, on the Housewives. She had a car situation where she did a driving when she wasn't supposed to. You can Google it. Don't worry. And she had hired a criminal defense lawyer, which I didn't know that's what you did if you got driving while.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then you represented her because she tried to get it off her record, or just to get creative sentencing.
Yeah. So Gina and I worked together for her DUI so that we could.
You said it. I didn't want to say it.
Okay.
I'm like, Gina, I did not say it. Mike did. She'll be watching this like, oh.
Well, but one of the things that I said then, and I'll say it now, and I told Gina, is she was so proactive in, I want to take responsibility for this.
Really?
I want to learn from. Oh my God, absolutely! I want to learn from this.
Great.
There was no excuses given. It was. I made a mistake.
Yeah.
And she paid the price, the consequences.
Yeah.
I think she totally learned from it. She became, a bit of a spokesperson even on the show. She wasn't trying to hide anything or belittle anything. She was really out there letting other people know, listen, I made a mistake. Thank God I didn't hurt anybody, right?
That's great because of her platform to admit she made a mistake, to hire somebody to help guide her through the process of working through that mistake was smart.
Right. Yeah.
Sure.
And just, to be able to, as silly as it sounds, DUIs are very, very complicated because you've got the court system that is doing things to you, if you will. You've got DMV that's doing things to you. You want to try to put everything together so it's concurrent. We've got, my fantastic office manager is sitting here watching, Irina. A little shout out for Irina.
You should pop in.
I call her my boss, right? But she makes sure, seriously, what she does for all these clients is amazing because she's making sure that the dates that we're getting the DMV hearings are set synonymous with the court hearings. And that way the person's not, if you will, double punished.
Yeah.
So a lot of my clients owe their successes to Irina.
You'll be next on the hot seat. Irina. Oh yeah. So then you helped her, and then she ended up. I had my situation where somebody was going to start working for me, and within weeks started putting a gun to my head and getting money and all sorts of terrible situation and. He got convicted. He's in prison right now. And I've never experienced any of that. I don't normally have people con artist me. He wasn't who he said he was. He didn't have any background like he said he did. Completely a fake person. But then, my situation happened. You can Google it. Just Google it, people. I don't want to get into the details. But I needed a lawyer because I felt I needed a lawyer in case anything happened. I wasn't blamed for any of it because I was already getting blamed from his side. I'm the one who did everything. And I'm like, well, wait a minute. I didn't even know who this person was. And then all of a sudden it was a whirlwind of, this situation. And I thought I need to get a criminal lawyer. And Gina, I reached out.
With all the stuff that was being accused of him and him trying to say, no, it was her. She wanted to protect herself. And that's when I was like, hey, you need to talk to somebody. And apparently that's where you came in.
Well, it's interesting, Andrew, because, when your sister and I first met, as many people, she didn't even realize there were lawyers like me out there.
No,
and so
no idea.
When she was talking to me, I said, Elizabeth, you don't need me to defend you.
I thought I needed defense.
No, I go, you did nothing wrong. I go, you did nothing wrong. You were the victim. And then and then her position was, well, then I really don't need you, do I? And then I explained what I did under this, what we called Marcy's Law, which is basically, this constitutional amendment in California,
thank you,
which said that you can have a private attorney to assist you in the criminal proceedings. And that's what we did. It's
scary.
It was, and your situation was you're a very strong woman and you're kind of making it, light, if you will, for your viewers and listeners, but it was a very, very serious situation. And you had a very, I'm glad I could be there with you because it was a very tough time in your life. And I think you got to see what it's like to be a victim, like how victims feel out there and how they navigate the system. And so it was wonderful to get to know you. First of all, that was a special thing for me, but also to be in a position where I could help you. Because if I were the district attorney prosecuting your case, you and I would not have attorney-client privilege. So with Ms. King, your prosecutor, you could talk to her, but she would be required to share what you talked about to the other side.
Yeah, you would explain that.
Right?
Yeah.
But with you and me, we had atattorney-client privilege. So we could have a real conversation.
Because I didn't know
right.
if I said something wrong. Because I've watched CSI. Not CSI, but I've watched like those shows.
Sure.
And I'm thinking if I say something wrong and I misstep, am I guilty of something? Because I already felt, you already feel like you did something, okay? Because I kept being told, you did this. You talked him into working with you. I was like, I did what?
Yeah. And when all this went down, I had one point in time watched on YouTube a seminar of this lawyer talking to lawyers on why you cannot talk to cops, prosecutors.
Yeah, you're not supposed to talk to anybody.
Went through it was like a 2-hour seminar about how lawyers thought they could out-lawyer the prosecutors and ended up getting in trouble by just saying the wrong thing.
Yeah.
And I was telling her, hey, I get it. You didn't do anything wrong, but I don't want you to talk to the prosecutor and accidentally say something that she misinterprets, and then they go after you. You've got too much to lose. You didn't do anything wrong. I was like, you got to find somebody that's on your side with the client privilege that you could get away with. And obviously in my position, I didn't know who that was, but I figured she could figure it out, and I'm glad she did.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
No, and I was very pleased with, there's so many steps in the whole process.
Which it's scary to me.
Right.
For a year, I was freaked out.
Yeah.
Andrew's like, go get a lawyer. I didn't realize if I just made that phone call 6 months earlier, I was stressed. I was like night sweats. I was locking myself in my house. I was hiding under my bed pretty much. I was not leaving. I was literally becoming like this paranoid. What do I do? And then I hired you, and you just educated me on the process of why I'm not guilty of anything. I didn't do it.
Right.
And because she was afraid because she was associated with this guy, therefore she must be guilty of
Right.
You're
everything
guilty
he
by
did.
association.
Guilty by association.
And I'm like,
and I kept telling her, no, you're fine. Go talk to somebody.
And how would you know?
I
Exactly.
wouldn't.
Like this isn't your world.
No,
right? How do
it's-
victims
absolutely.
know?
The criminal world is nowhere near me, but I thought because I let him into my life, like I was a sucker. Like I still feel
you felt like
guilty
it
to
was
this
your
day
fault.
that I got conned. Still to this day, I feel like in my gut, like, God, I'm such an idiot that I had a con artist come into my life, extort me, pretend to take naked pictures of me, get money, threaten to tell, my ex-husband and my partners about how I'm a drug addict. I'm like, I'm not a drug addict. I'm like, wait a second. How did this whole thing happen? Guns in the house, drug dealing out of my house. I'm like, this is insane.
And she wasn't sure if she had done something wrong.
I didn't know
Sure,
if I
right.
let them in my house, because if I didn't let them in my house, they were coming in my house anyway, no matter what.
And I think this is a good time, too, to give a nice shout out to the Newport Beach Police Department.
I'd like to give a nice shout out to the Newport Beach first responders and the police department.
They were fantastic. And
the
here was
SWAT teams, the fire department, the dog people.
Well, and you had an amazing investigator, if I can throw out his name, Detective
Yes.
Roland Stukin.
Thank you.
Who I know very well, who's a top-notch detective, was just
getting hot.
I mean, yeah.
I started getting all hot flash. I'm not going through menopause.
I thought that was for Roland.
Oh yeah. So he's hi Ron.
Just talking about
Thank
this.
you.
This is years later, and this is how stressed out she is. We're talking about it here years later.
It was a very, extremely serious situation. And you know what? What is many times with victims who know their abuser, that makes it harder. Right? Because especially when people develop some sort of friendship or develop some sort of trust, those are the worst kind. Somebody attacks a victim on the street, it's easy to just, I'm reporting them, I want them to go away forever. But anytime somebody has developed a friendship with somebody, whether it's a trust relationship or a romantic relationship or a employee-employer relationship, all of a sudden it makes things tougher because at one point you did think fondly of this person.
Yeah.
And some people, Elizabeth, some people never say anything. So, kudos to you for coming forward.
Upset.
Hey, you're allowed. You're allowed.
This is a very,
I'm
very.
not supposed to be crying on my own segment. No, but now I'm crying.
Okay, it's okay.
Hey, you're keeping it real. That's all right.
Yeah.
Sorry. God damn it. Darn it. No, but
Take a breather. Take a second. You want to just take a pause? Okay, get up. Go take a
no,
breather.
I'm fine.
Yeah.
You sure? It's okay. It's okay. It's
I'm
okay.
fine. The fucker's not going to get me anymore.
No,
than
I
he
know,
did.
but just saying this. Take a breath. We're not in a hurry. Just relax.
But Elizabeth, when we're talking about victims and the way victims feel, even years after their abuse, the fact that you're getting emotional is really a testament and is really honoring victims out there. So I do have to give you some props for that, even though it's maybe uncomfortable.
Yeah, sorry. I don't know what happened just now. Just like, oh my God, just thinking of this.
It's because you haven't had to think about it in a long time, and it's.
I moved.
Yes. Yes.
But it's interesting because you don't realize what you're going through until you're going through it.
Mm-hmm.
And things do happen really quickly. And I didn't know who to call. I didn't know who to help me. I was hiding by myself. I didn't call anybody. And felt like I was alone. I felt like nobody would understand some dumb rich girl in her house. You know, they all, you know, no one's going to listen to me crying in my beach house.
In your $10 million beach house.
You know, and no one's going to really understand how it got to be that bad. I didn't even understand it. How can I explain to my friends, I didn't plan this happening. I didn't understand it. And I didn't want to understand it. I don't know these kind of people. I don't let them in my life. And the humiliation of somebody doing that, letting a methamphetamine addict into my house, not knowing what people on meth do. I didn't know how they act.
Right.
I don't know how drug people, tweakers are. I mean, yeah, they showed up at 4 a.m. all the time. Like, I didn't understand. Like, it's
Stop, they were partying.
Strung out, like, you know. And so, you know, I think that being able to be surrounded, luckily I don't do my makeup. Sorry, Christina, my makeup artist for the Housewives. No, but luckily, you know, I was smart enough. Well, my brother was smart enough to say, you need to get help. And that's the hardest decision, was to call you and to admit I made a mistake, and that just, I guess, to call you. If there's one thing I could tell victims of abuse and violence, is to make that call. Because I didn't even want to call. My wealth advisor did a wellness check on me. That there's no 911 call on me.
Right.
Because they, you know, you call, you're fucking dead. I don't care. I have nothing to lose, he said to me all the time. So, you know, I just, you know, I didn't call 911, but he called, and I finally just broke down because I hadn't talked to anybody. I barely even talked to him.
Yeah, he was good at basically
he
convincing
called the
her
SWAT team
to,
and the
to
police.
separate everybody.
Right.
So she, like her and I are the closest out of us family, and she wouldn't even answer my phone calls. And it took months even after this before she did. And this was me trying, like, go get it. If you're so stressed out, you didn't do anything wrong, go get a lawyer. She's like, well, I didn't do anything wrong. I get it, but you can afford to go get a lawyer. And then you can ask them the questions, and then you're protected. Mm-hmm. And good thing she got smart and finally eventually got a hold of you. And which in turn for the brother, which is me, I saw the difference almost instantly, how much relief she had by talking to someone like you that could say, hey, I'm on your side. I don't care about anybody else in the situation but you. My job is to keep you sane, and you know.
Well, thank you for sharing that, Andrew. No, I really, seriously, that's that. That I hadn't heard that before, and that makes me.
Yeah, and it is.
Happy.
It made me happy because I'm in Washington. I'm at 1,200 miles away. It's not like she has issues, I can just stop by and, you know. So I'm like, hey, this seems to be one of the biggest problems, is you're scared that somehow you accidentally did something wrong. Talk to a lawyer, get all your info, tell them everything. Don't fake anything. Don't tell me like you're telling to me, because I know you leave out tons of stuff. Tell him everything, then he will help you.
Because people, you know, tell me, you're so strong, you know, I look up to you. So for that to happen, and I have like women that look up to me for, you know, I pride myself in that strength and being able to overcome a lot of obstacles in my life. And to let that happen, I was shocked so you've got a lot of, you know, facets of why, you know, I wouldn't call you. It'd be because I was humiliated. First off, I was scared shitless. Mm-hmm. You know, if I ever called anybody, somebody else would come and kill my dog. So there was threats. There was, you know, I didn't know if there's other guys out there that were going to come and storm my house and kill my dog. My dog was my biggest thing. I did not want my dog. They said they were going to poison him out front. Right. You know, like, right. You know, I don't know what you're going to do. You know, they got to know my dog. He sat there and petted my dog in front of me, unplugged the cameras, and then's like, okay, so how are we going to get this car? You know, it's like, I just don't know how to handle that. And I just knew if I talked calmly and I just acted like his friend and his buddy's friend, and, you know, acted like I was the cool girl, no big deal, that they would go away. But then I realized it was only getting worse. I didn't know how to navigate through criminals. I can handle smart criminals, but they were dumb. Right. Dumb criminals. I can't handle dumb criminals. Right. Like, I've met a lot of smart criminals. Right. Like, dumb ones, I couldn't handle.
Because they're unpredictable.
They were like unpredictable. The drugs, they were on drugs and just all sorts of drugs. And then, you know, I realized after they weren't going away. I don't know how we got on this whole conversation, but I guess because you're my lawyer. But yes. You know, after they weren't going away, I needed help.
Yes,
I was
you were smart enough to take advice, to find him. And that's where we're at, that's what he did for you, was to give you the confidence that you were going to be okay. Because no matter what I said or anybody said, we don't know. And in reality, I don't know, you could have done something wrong. And that's why I was like, well, just in case they try to pin something on you, don't talk to the prosecutor. What I learned my entire life is don't talk to cops or prosecutors. That's what your lawyer's for, because you could accidentally say something stupid. And in reality, you didn't do anything wrong, but they could perceive it and prosecute you for it. So therefore,
she was really nice at DA. She was so kind to me. But I just didn't know what to do.
In my experience in life, that's what they do. That's their job. They've learned to be very, very, when they think they don't know where they're going and they want to get something, they'll let you run your mouth until you convict yourself. And just in case they had any qualms of like, hey, I want to prosecute our housewife, see if we can find something wrong with her. It's like, I get it. Don't talk to her.
I represent Orange County.
I know. And but it doesn't matter.
What are you talking about? I'm a cheerleader.
No, you are. But what I'm saying is I don't know her motives. So that's why I was advocating for you to get a lawyer on your side. So therefore you would have a buffer and a protection. So just in case you did do something wrong, you wouldn't freely admit to it and accidentally get in way more trouble.
And Andrew's not mistaken in this fashion. In your case, you were a victim.
Yes.
Most cases, that where I represent, the person is a victim. But Andrew, you're right. There could be situations where, the guy got hurt because he ripped another guy off in an investment deal. Does that mean maybe he could have some fraud implications as well as victim implications? Yeah. So you're right. I mean, it's always good to know what your rights are so that you can
navigate the situation.
Yeah, we're not all lawyers. Yeah. That's why we're not all lawyers. So we don't know what the legal law is. So.
Daily Logic Check.
When did you get into the victims advocacy? Were you always
no.
How does that work? Because I didn't even know that existed.
Victims defense?
Would it be? No, it's victim rights representation.
Victims rights representation.
Right. Okay. So what? So there's a couple of different things. I get calls all the time.
Okay.
With people saying,
well, obviously,
no. But what I was going to tell you is, I get calls all the time saying, I was in a car accident. I'm a victim. I go, well, that's not what I do. You want to call a personal injury attorney.
Right.
Right? Because they're talking about suing for money. In my capacity, I don't represent people suing other people for money. Right?
Oh.
I represent victims of crime who are looking for justice in the criminal system. Right?
That's what it is. Okay.
So I wasn't representing you to sue this guy.
Right.
Right? If this guy had a bunch of money and you want to sue him, I would have referred you to a personal injury law firm, right?
Okay,
and then you would have sued him for personal injury, whether it was mental injury or physical injury. You would have sued him that way in a different court, in civil court, not in criminal court.
So what you do is help the victim make sure that the bad person gets what's coming to them, gets in trouble the way they're supposed to.
To a point. So what I'm doing is this. I'm representing the victim, and we're working with the district attorney's office, right? Because at the end of the day, the district attorney, what I used to do is the lawyer in court, right?
Yeah.
Arguing in front of the jury for a conviction. Yeah. The judge is the one that makes a sentencing decision. How I get involved under Marcy's law, which was, like I said, enacted in 2008. So in the legal world, even though people are like, that was 16 years ago, it's still new.
That's really new.
Right? In our world,
That's
right?
really new.
And so I can make arguments in court as it relates to what the bail should be. I can make arguments in court as to...
And we wanted longer sentence. And
yeah,
right. And so I could argue in court as to what the sentence could be.
So you can legally get up and talk to the jury and the judge.
And that's what, not to the jury.
Just the judge.
Right. To the judge before trial. Okay. And then after trial, on behalf of the victim and with the victim, we can talk about sentencing.
So instead of like something does the victim want to talk in front of the judge before sentencing? Mm-hmm. That could be you instead of the victim.
Or both of us.
Or both.
Yes.
Okay.
So in Elizabeth's case, she felt more comfortable me doing the talking. So anytime we were in court talking at all about what this guy's sentence should be, right? Whether he should serve local time, whether he should get probation, whether he should go to prison, I was always part of those discussions.
You were her advocate.
I was her attorney.
I didn't want to see him. So I didn't want to go and see him.
So
I
you were
never
her
wanted
proxy.
to see his face again.
Right.
And he would go for me.
Correct.
Was that called a proxy?
No, it's just I'm her. She's my client. I'm her lawyer.
I just didn't. I
Okay.
couldn't get myself to see the guy in the face. I just couldn't.
And Andrew, kind of to follow up on that too, not only before trial and after trial for sentencing, but I will represent family members whose perpetrator is looking at getting out of prison. So I've done many parole hearings.
Oh,
So victims have a right to
yeah.
hire me to either be with them or argue on their behalf or argue with them when that person is trying to get out of prison on life cases. So unfortunately,
wow.
I will, when I say unfortunately, what I really should say is sadly, I'll represent people whose children have been killed, right? And then the perpetrator is trying to get out of prison or like attempted murder or, go on and on and on with some of these things. So,
so like if somebody breaks into, let's say, that break-in that happened in Crystal Cove, they tried to murder the guy, right? Then it was like a hit or something. So let's just say, unfortunately, he passed. Let's just hypothetically,
Right.
The wife then would obviously, the guy would go, whoever that guy was, would go to trial or whatever, right? Because he probably doesn't want to go to prison for it or whatever. So you would then represent the wife who is trying to get a longer sentence for him so that he doesn't just get 10
prosecuted.
years. So
Correct.
make sure he gets prosecuted.
Correct, right.
So the wife is like, well, I want to make sure because my husband died.
Right.
Nothing
That
goes through the
guy
cracks.
does
and
not
he
have a
gets-
chance to get
Right.
out. And I don't trust the state.
I mean, ironically, on the way over here, I talked to somebody whose husband was killed. I can't get into the specifics, but yes, I mean, literally, Irina set up a conference call for me. I was doing that call on the way here.
Oh, you gave me goosebumps.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, thank God I survived mine.
Right. Oh, yeah. And just talking about how the system works and talking about what can happen and things like that. And a lot of what victims, I think, need is education. And sometimes I'll just have a consultation with the victim. I'll talk to them for an hour or two. They don't necessarily need to hire me, but they feel satisfied knowing about,
Yes.
they have more knowledge about the system.
Yes.
Because Elizabeth, like you said, you have never had to be in that world before. You didn't know how that world worked. You didn't know what your role was as a victim in meeting with the DA and testifying in court and appearing in court. If you had to appear in court, what you had to do.
It's
And so-
overwhelming, too. She's all stressing out.
I got a boob sweat now. Great. Am I okay?
Yeah. Maybe
Sorry.
maybe next time the turtleneck isn't the way to go.
Oh my God. I should have worn like longer pearls. So you basically hold her hand from start to finish.
Yeah, and it's nice because, like I said before, you can tell me anything. We have attorney-client privilege.
Yeah.
Right? And so...
And you went through all my photos. I remember because I'm like, God, you should see some of these photos and these text messages. I go, it looks, some of them look like it's me or whatever. Like,
And that's what
because
she's
I
worried about.
reviewed my text message because I'm like, some of these, what are they going to say? Like, if he's going to say this and this and this, because I can only see the guy trying to weasel his way out of
course.
something.
Well, here's where you are amazing. Well, you're amazing in all ways. But
Well, thank you, doll.
you
Thank you,
are
Mike.
such a picture
Yes.
documenter, right?
She is.
I
right?
picture
She
everything.
says everything.
Oh, yeah, speaking of,
Elizabeth and I sat there, I think it was in my office,
Yes,
in
it
my
was.
conference room.
Yes.
And we are going through
Every
day, right? Every single day. She had pictures. Here's when we were here. Here's that. You can notice this. And so she was a great advocate for herself in giving me the tools that I needed
To help prosecute.
To show exactly.
well, look, when he was putting the
Exactly.
drugs under my car with like this device where, like, I never seen this. Like, he was stashing drugs under my car with guns in this box that had a magnet. I was like, dude, I can't believe this. I'm living through this. I can't believe I'm like watching this. So I took pictures. I'm like, he won't know. I'm like, click, click, click.
But there
click,
were
click.
pictures that Elizabeth.
Give those to the cops.
Well, and there were pictures that Elizabeth took that actually became evidence for the case.
Oh, really?
Absolutely.
Oh.
Absolutely.
Which ones? I was never there. I refused to go to trial.
How about we talk about it off camera?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that'd probably be better.
Well,
No,
no,
but they no. You, in all seriousness, you did you documented some very important things
That's
that
great.
that was able to prove without a doubt certain elements of,
Okay,
of
good.
certain crimes. So
Well, and
you were-
so you could give advice to somebody else going through abuse like I went through. You could, I mean, a lot of people are scared to say anything, but I mean, if they just take pictures, like I started getting so freaked out that I just started saying, well, if I die, at least my brother has the code. I give Andrew the code to my phone. I'm like, if anything happens here, I took pictures without him knowing. I was videoing. He smashed everything in my living room, all the glass, asking for money, and I wouldn't give it to him. So it was like, he smashed everything. I recorded the whole thing and I sat back and I just pressed record and went like this, and I was just like, please, for the love of God.
Okay, so for the viewers and the listeners, I wouldn't necessarily advocate that.
Oh no!
I mean, listen,
okay.
what you did.
Oh, sorry.
Hey, what you did turned out to be wonderful, but it could have also been very dangerous, right? If he had seen you taking pictures, that could have put you in a very terrifying situation. So I don't know that I would.
You got lucky.
Right? I don't know.
Don't be the criminal's paparazzi.
Right.
Yeah.
But
what were you doing?
Yeah.
But Elizabeth, I think what you did learn is by being open and honest and maybe putting, with all due respect, your ego aside and letting people know if things are not right, or if you're getting that gut feeling like, hey, I might be hiring somebody, but I have second thoughts about them because they're doing X, Y, Z, and to be able to share that with somebody that you have confidence with, whether it's your brother, your parents, or a lawyer, whoever it might be.
Well, now you're my lawyer for life. I'm like, you're not leaving.
I'm here
got
for you.
you.
I'm here for you. No, I remember my wife, we were at the same restaurant. I don't know if you remember this.
Yeah.
And my wife walked in and she's like, she recognized you. She said, your lawyer's outside.
Was that the house?
Yes.
Yeah. I love that place.
Daily Logic Check.
In general, I think being able, my takeaway from my situation was being able to make that phone call, being able to have the right team in place to help you through an uncomfortable and unfortunate situation like domestic violence or abuse or criminal behavior within your circle is extremely important. And I never would have thought I needed that. So for you to be so kind and understanding, and obviously for everybody, to help me through that situation meant the world to me. And you can't put, I don't want to say this, but you can't put a price on, that. I mean, but you can. Oh, you do. So how do I say this? You can't put a price on
It's worth
freedom
every penny.
and knowledge when it comes to that. It's worth every penny to bring you on. If there was a family that was going through a similar situation, to have that security. And I'm not trying to sell you to anybody. I'm literally just trying to tell my audience what you did for me was priceless. And
thank you.
I can't thank you enough. I don't, know how we got on this whole conversation. I want to talk about other people, but sometimes it's good to talk about yourself. And, in Orange County, I feel very safe and secure, but life happens. Bad things happen, right?
100%.
And I think that having people like you around, if I was going through something right now, and I'm watching this podcast and I'm just secretly watching it on my computer and I'm being abused in one area or something's happening, where would I go? Do I just Google? What would I Google? Or how would I find somebody like you in a particular area? Say I lived in Ohio.
Sure.
What would I do?
Well, so, obviously one of the big things that we see, and I see it all the time, is domestic violence, right? And so there are a lot of domestic violence hotlines. There are shelters. There's actually the National Crime Victim Law Institute. It's called NCVLI. It stands for National Crime Victim Law Institute, which is a great resource. You can go ahead and type in victim rights lawyers, right? And kind of weed out the private injury attorneys from the other ones. Usually at every DA's office throughout the countries, there is a victim witness advocate.
So you want to Google victim?
Yes.
See, I had that situation happen to me, and that's who I had a victim.
So listen to Andrew's situation real quick.
Well, I was being nice to a friend. She was at a bar, and she thought she knew this guy, but he was being really, really weird. So I went and picked her up, gave her a ride home because they had gone to the bar together, and pretty sure she was drugged and she didn't know it. So I sat with her until she fell asleep. Then when I left her house, he was waiting outside with a bat, and he broke the bat over my head and tried to kill me, basically. And I was able to save myself. And then he tried to run me over, but unlike movies, I just went to the left. So the car couldn't hit me. Or so that was the
Andrew
weirdest
doesn't
thing.
drink or do drugs. He's like coherent.
Yeah, and I was like, it's like you see him get run over in movies. You see, I'm like, just go left or right. It's a car. They can only turn so much. So they ended up arresting him. He tried to like get the cops to shoot him. Got death by suicide by cop.
Right.
And they gave me an advocate, a victim's advocate to help my rights and all that stuff. And
But yours was an open and closed case.
It was,
he admitted.
He went to the cops and said, I'm here and I did this, and then tried to get him to shoot him. And it was crazy. And I was lucky I got away with as little scars as I have. But it was basically he admitted. So I didn't really need someone like you because it was so short, and it was just like
open and closed.
Him being a crazy person,
Right.
me getting lucky to not die.
But he admitted he was trying to kill you.
Yes, he admitted it. But then
Literally
COVID,
admitted it.
This happened like the end of 19. So by the time he was ready to go to trial, COVID hit. Took him like 3 years before they put him in.
I bet.
But they gave him like 11 or 12 years for it.
Okay.
Andrew and I both have criminals in prison. We're like, we have so much in common, Andrew. Let's start a podcast.
But they gave me the victim's advocate.
Well, and the victim advocate that you're talking about with the DA's office, the reason that when Elizabeth asked me about resources is they're not lawyers, but they have good resources for you.
Okay.
And they do advocate for victims. They can't go to court and advocate for victims. They can't speak up in court and advocate for victims.
Okay.
But what they can do is they're a liaison between you and the DAs.
Mm-hmm.
They can give you different information on restitution or different information on counseling and things like that. So, so again, for people that are listening, of course they can contact me. They can contact another lawyer. Most lawyers give free consultations to people.
Yeah.
Or they can contact the DA's office, find out, or the police department, find out what their rights are. But especially in California, the fact that we have Marcy's Law.
So quick question. So that Marcy's Law, that's California, and it's not very old. Is it like a common thing, or is it like a very uncommon for other states?
So there are many other states that have it. Okay. Oregon has it. I believe Arizona has it. Obviously, California. It's not called Marcy's Law in other states.
Oh, it's not.
No,
okay.
Just in this state.
I'm assuming they call it Marcy's Law because the victim was named Marcy, and
here's what's very interesting. So, gentleman by the name of Henry Nicholas.
Okay.
And Henry Nicholas is someone that is very well known in Orange County. He and Henry Samueli started Broadcom.
Right.
So
obviously we know that.
Very, very big name, right? Well, here's what's so ironic about the whole thing is Henry's sister, and I've gotten to know Henry Nicholas. We call him Nick, right? His sister went to UC Santa Barbara at the same time that I was at UC Santa Barbara. I didn't know her, but her name was Marcy, and her ex-boyfriend killed her.
Oh.
And her ex-boyfriend was locked up and at the arraignment, and then he made bail. And Nick's parents were in Los Angeles at a convenience store a couple of days after the arraignment, and there he was. There he was. He had made bail, he'd gotten out, and at that they said, we need a law, or in this case, a constitutional amendment that looks out for us. We didn't know that he made bail. We didn't know that he was able, right?
I get follow-ups.
Right? And so, which is great. It's called the Vine program.
Yeah, they're letting me know when he gets transferred to a different prison. They're letting me know if he's trying to get out. They let me know everything.
So this is wonderful, and this is the advancement. So Henry Nicholas actually funded Marcy's Law here in California, and so it was named after his sister. Which is Marcy with an S, M-A-R-S-Y.
Wow, and you are really just integrated into the community, aren't you?
Yeah. Well, and here's what's super funny is that right after I opened my own law firm in 2009, I was telling a good buddy of mine from high school, "Hey, I'm doing this business, and as part of my law firm, I'm doing this." And he says, "Hey, you might know a buddy of mine, Henry Nicholas." I go, Henry Nicholas, he's the one that started this. So he set it up for Henry and I to get to know each other.
Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah,
So
that's amazing.
It's several years ago. It was there was a mass murderer here in Orange County, and his parole was up. And the Marcy's Law Foundation, which Nick is very involved in, had me represent the family. And Nick and I flew up together to that hearing.
That's great.
And we advocated for this man to stay, for the victims, and for the man to stay in prison. And
did he?
We prevailed. Yeah, he stayed in prison.
That's amazing.
So with her, in her case, if she wants to, if he's up for some sort of
he
early
gets out in
release,
6 years.
but if he's up for early release and they say, oh, he's up for a parole hearing, she could contact you to represent her.
But he doesn't get a parole, does he? He just gets out.
Well, again, the hearing he's Dr. Nicholas, that Dr. Nicholas and I went up to was not for his sister. It was for somebody else, a mass murder in Orange County. It wasn't his case.
But in her, what I'm saying is in Elizabeth's case.
In Elizabeth's case.
Yes,
okay.
in Elizabeth's case, this situation that she happened, because he gets out in so much time. And you can always get out in early time. And I don't know if he's like a
good behavior.
Parole, all
no,
that
he
stuff.
joins firefighter people in there. That's how he got out early last time.
We're not talking about, I'm just saying this, just in case if they contact her and they're like, oh, okay, there's going to be a hearing to see if he gets to get out. She can, and they're like, if you want to be present, you can, that she would want to hire you because she doesn't want to be there.
Well,
if she wants to be there.
Yes. However, in her case, there's only parole hearings for people who are given life sentences. He was not given a life sentence. So he will get out after serving his amount of time.
Maybe a mental life sentence, but.
Right. Okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
No, but the system's working because I get notifications and I get.
That's fine. And again, that's what they want to do. They want to put you on notice, and they want to make sure that you know exactly what's going on and where he's going to be and things like that.
So if people that are watching this, if they want to support that foundation, how do they do that? The Victims Foundation. You said foundation, so does that mean it's a nonprofit that does it, or
so there
Marcy's Law? What is it?
So there's a few different victims foundations out there.
Okay.
And again, you can Google different foundations.
Yeah. Okay. I was just curious, like if because there's a lot of people like me that are very thankful to first responders. I mean, I'm donating in left and right. I mean, I even have a sticker for the police guys.
Right.
They send me a plaque. I'm like, how much money you need? I'm like, let's do a fundraiser. I don't care.
Well, and the nice part is I think that what helps a lot of victims help themselves and help other victims are a lot of these groups.
Yeah.
And, I've spoken at many of these groups, and probably the saddest group that I've spoken with, but my heart goes out to the fact that they formed a group and they're there for each other, is something called PMOC, which stands for POMC, I'm sorry, Parents of Murdered Children. And, but you know what? I mean, when I spoke to them, the first time I spoke, it took me a while to even compose myself. And the first thing that I could say, having 4 children myself, is the fact that you all can get out of bed in the mornings. I applaud you.
Yeah.
Wow.
Right.
Yeah.
But more than that is they're helping other parents of murdered children. Right.
Wow.
So by you doing this, by you being public about your story, even though it's emotional, that's helping other victims.
About that.
No. Don't be sorry at all.
Don't be sorry.
And I think there needs to be victims that know that it's okay to be vulnerable, that it's okay to show your emotions, that it's okay to reach out to other victims for support, because you're not the only one. And especially when it comes to domestic violence, because this is a person in a lot of domestic violence situations where this is someone they married. This is someone is someone they loved, right? This is somebody they have children with.
Yeah.
This is someone
and they're stuck because they
this is their
kids.
financial supporter, right? But to know that they can, reach out there and find people who will help them, not only with the DA's office, but with the police and all these other programs. I think it is important that they know they have places to go, even though they're not maybe come from a wealthy background. They have things to do, things where they can go, and people who will help them.
Daily Logic Check.
Well, Mike, today has been an educational day for me Absolutely, and for Andrew, and definitely for our audience.
A little bit of an emotional roller coaster,
right?
Yeah, a little emotional coaster, but I really, I didn't plan on really speaking of my situation. I just wanted everyone to know how cool you were. That, you're a DA, criminal guy, Orange County lawyer. We go to the house together. But I think you're right. This needs to be talked about, and I think that the avenue of success for people like me is education and understanding. And people that watch this, I have high hopes that whomever is getting abused or held hostage in their home or, whatever, will really understand that you can get help and to get help. The biggest thing is just do it. Like, if someone's threatening your life, what would you recommend to people that are being threatened right now? Is there anything you could tell my audience right now, if you're being threatened, just to call somebody?
Oh, absolutely.
What was your advice to somebody getting abused right now?
I think absolutely. Number one, tell a confidant. First of all, if you feel you can do it safely, absolutely contact the police. Contact the police.
The police is a great place to start.
Right? For yourself, for your children, for your life.
Yeah.
Right?
They came over to my house first.
If you're not in a position where you're ready to take that step, make sure somebody knows what's going on.
Yeah.
Somebody that can be watching out for you. Like in your situation, Elizabeth, somebody that maybe can call for a welfare check. Anybody can call and say, hey, police department, I'm concerned about my friend, Elizabeth. Can you just swing by her house, knock on her door, make sure she's okay, right? So having that person, in your case, you're, a business relationship, but you were strong enough to reach out and let them know what was going on. So that would be some words of advice. And to pre-plan it, meaning, listen, if you know things are happening or going on that you don't like, do some research, talk to some people, find out what your options are, find out where you can safely go. Mm-hmm. Don't wait for it to get to the point where it's,
where I'm calling you. And
or you're getting hurt, right? Yeah. Because usually it escalates. A lot of times,
the minute he broke my nose is the minute I realized, or fractured my nose, I was like, I got to get help.
Right.
Something's not
so
right.
So could someone call you? Okay, let's just say I'm doing well off. I have a little bit of money. Okay. And then I'm in a weird situation. Could they directly call you and say, hey, can I get a consultation? And then explain to you, this is my situation. Should I do something? Is he being illegal? Is she being illegal?
And Andrew, both men and women who have retained my services, I will go to the police with them.
Okay. So they can actually contact you.
Great.
They can contact you first if they really want it.
Yeah. A lot of times they don't want to go by themselves, or they're embarrassed, or they don't think the police will take them seriously.
Okay.
And the list goes on and on and on.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, my guy kept saying, my abuser was like, if I'm going down, you're going down. You're just as guilty. And I'm thinking, what am I doing?
Well, that's intimidation.
I'm guilty for. What did I do?
But Elizabeth, that's also a form of domestic violence.
Yes.
It is emotional violence.
Yes.
Right?
Threatening if she'd have known better, she could have, before even anything happened, she could have called someone like you and sat and had a consultation, go, hey, this is the situation. What do you think I should do? And you could give her advice, legal advice, and say, hey, maybe we should go. Do you want to go talk to the cops?
And usually what I do is I never tell anybody what to do, but I give them options.
Yeah, of course. Right? Of course.
And so here's some options here. And then we talk about how that option would be. And here's another option you can do. And we talk about that.
So would be, so if you don't want to talk to the cops, you don't know, if you have a little bit of extra money, you could talk to you and know what you're actually in.
Yeah.
What kind of thing, and you have your options. It would educate you on your options in the situation if you feel like maybe you're not in a good situation, but you don't know because you're so into it, you think you're okay or it's your fault. Talk to someone like you, and you can help advocate for them. Like, if you went to the police, I think that would be a good idea. I would be on your side. Or not a good idea.
Yeah,
you're okay. Maybe we do this. So that's something you do as well.
Sure,
so
of course.
You'd be literally the first line of defense.
Well, and also with the things that Elizabeth was talking about, victims might think, did I do something wrong?
Yeah.
Can I be criminally liable?
And around here, everyone's so scared
because they're telling
of
you are. You're like, what did I do? Did I do something?
Or
they're gaslighting you. You're like,
Or they say, you know what? I was using drugs with this person.
Yeah.
I shouldn't have been using drugs with this person.
Yeah.
But then they hit me across the face, or they stabbed me, or whatever. But I don't want to report because because I could get in trouble for
Whatever,
using
yeah.
drugs. So
Yeah.
yes, but a lot of times, so as a district attorney, I would look at cases like that, and there's something called immunity. So I might say to that person, yes, you could get in trouble for using drugs, but guess what? What happened to you was so serious, I'm going to give you immunity, right? So if you testify truthfully, you say, yes, I was using drugs at the house, but then this individual stabbed me or whatnot. Those again,
Not
can be
me, Andrew.
things.
This is not my situation.
No.
Just in general. So,
This has nothing to do with
I didn't
you.
get stabbed. I wasn't doing that.
you would be somebody that would help facilitate that between the victim and the district attorney or whoever. You could be on their side, making sure they don't say anything too stupid. Or,
Yeah.
Of course.
Well, Mike, is there a on our show, on our podcast, we also like to, on the video, we're going to put links to resources. But
Sure.
is there a specific foundation that you'd like to promote personally, you in general? It doesn't have to be for all the victims, but in general, that we could put on this video that you feel passionate about, that you want to spread the word on?
Well, I mean, as I said before, I think NCVLI is a wonderful organization.
NCVLI?
Yeah, it stands for National Crime Victim Law Institute. It's
Okay.
based out of Oregon.
Okay.
But one of the things that they also promote is pro bono resources, and they have their fingers all over the country.
Okay.
So, there's not always somebody that can assist because there's not many lawyers, in the country that do this type of law.
Yeah, I've never heard of you.
Right.
That's why I was like, I need you to tell people what you did.
Right.
I've never knew you existed.
Yeah. It's and I mean, you can imagine when I started doing this in 2009, 2010.
Yeah.
It was brand new. Nobody even knew. I mean, I actually had a judge in LA. I was speaking on behalf of the victim. I thought there was a deal being made between the prosecutor's office and the defense that I thought was unfair to the victim. And I told the judge why I thought this was unfair and why this shouldn't occur. And we ultimately prevailed. But I remember the judge very, very clearly saying to me, you know what, Mr. Fell, the prosecutor has made an offer. The defense has accepted the offer. Really, all you are is an irritant. And I'm like, well, I get that at home, right?
Not in the courtroom.
But
What is going on?
courtroom. And I remember that was like, welcome to Marcy's Law, right? And so, but at the end, we prevailed. At the
Okay.
end,
Yeah.
they realized that wasn't the appropriate. That wasn't the appropriate deal.
Yeah.
And
It's
the
also
victim was able to share things with me that had not been properly advocated on her behalf. And so it's,
it's the navigating the process of your line of work for me as a victim is difficult. So my suggestion is for everybody watching this, that if you feel you are being harmed or you're being threatened, or if you're sitting at home right now and you're wondering how you can get out of the situation you're in, just Google it in your area, victims' rights lawyer. I never even knew to Google that. So if you're sitting at home right now and you're listening to this or you're watching this, please do that. Just take that first step, make that first phone call. Even if you don't know that lawyer, we used to have yellow pages. I'm dating myself. You'd like flip the page and just, but now you got Google, you flip it and go. So Mike,
Google,
I can't, we can't thank you enough for being here today.
Oh,
and
thank you so much for having
your
me.
kindness and generosity. And we got a couple things, free lawyer advice out of him. Yeah. We got like 10 minutes, no billable hours. She's over there. But we have a little gift for you for coming on today.
Nice.
So this is really funny. This is so that you can put out your fires at your office.
Oh, that's
in case you have any. So the bag's a little flimsy.
that is.
You can sit back again.
Okay,
Sorry.
thank you.
I was gonna.
This is very exciting.
Now I've only given one of these out so far to Dr. Barkey. Woohoo!
Oh, this is super
It's
cool.
a fire hydrant.
This is super
oh
cool.
Oh my
Look
God, I love it. I got to get a picture of this. This is amazing. Andrew. No.
And it's Cohiba, which is one of my favorite cigars in the world.
Yes.
So this is fantastic.
And a bottle of vodka, of course, that I signed.
I hope it's Vargas vodka.
It is.
Here, I'll go like this.
A little, at the signed one, I'll give you the other one in a minute. So we got, of course, the bottle of Vargas vodka, and I'm going to sign something to you, but after we're off.
Thank you so
So,
much.
of course, I got you that.
Thank you.
And then, of course, per the shameless promoter, I got you a swag bag. with a black hat
Fantastic.
and a shirt.
I love it. I love it. And
Yeah.
I love the bag.
And you can give your wife the shirt. It says "Drink vodka, ride a cowboy." Because your line of work is the Wild Wild West, honey.
This is a great hat. I love this hat.
Thank you.
Fantastic.
Thank you. It's Travis Matthews hats. We just got
I
those.
love it. I love
yeah,
it.
no, thank you. No,
Oh.
I really can't thank you enough for being here. And I hope everybody that's watching this has learned a little lesson today. So we're going to have you back.
I would love that.
Do you
I
have
would love
stories?
that.
Do you have some stories?
I've got lots we didn't even get into any of them. I got
know.
lots of them.
We just wanted to get to know you first.
No.
So we're going to put the links on the site. Thank you for coming on.
Of course.
Thank you for watching. Peace, love, and happiness.
Daily Logic Check.
Thank you for watching Daily Logic Check. If you're loving the show, click like, subscribe, and support us on Patreon. Peace, love, and happiness.
Daily Logic Check.